templates. I'm hearing this word templates lately, like synchronistically. I've heard it in a variety of places. So it brought up some, some interesting connections and so forth that are useful for me to think about. So I figure that it'll benefit some of you as well. Okay, so I'm gonna just tell you what I think about the word templates for a second here. You could use that word for many different things, and it can mean any kind of different thing to different people, but what it means to me right now is I would like ideally to understand the proper template to communicate with any group of people or any individual. And I'm working on developing this ability to understand, for instance, what you could call a person's worldview, because if you really understand it, then you'll have the proper template to communicate with them. Okay? We live in a world where communication is very difficult, very challenging, and people are vastly misinterpreting each other all the time. So to me, my idea of what that word template means to me, that's popping up so much lately, is, in my reality, I'm working to understand the proper template to communicate with as many of you as I reasonably can. Now ideally I'd be able to figure out the template for everybody, you know. That's obviously a high ideal to strive for, but I'm not afraid to set the standard way super high and then just shoot for that goal, and however high I get, that's great. Because if I set, low standards for myself, it's like I'm not even really trying to give anybody the best I can. So, okay, templates. Now, we could talk about any of the different divisions of templates of different groups and different individuals and where different people are coming from in this world. What lenses they're seeing reality through, and that's their template. But let's just take a really big one. The division between the right and left brain hemisphere. Now, part of this is actually literally scientific. We're talking about the actual membrane between the two hemispheres of the brain, and how currently most of us humans, I believe that we, of course, are evolving the ability to have more connection between those two hemispheres, at least those that intend to. But I'd say that humans at different times have had that ability better than what we have now. I believe that this patriarchal society and the pure left brain dominant way that things have been done on the planet for a long time now have actually caused us to devolve that connection from right to left brain, and it's causing a lot of strange behavior and misunderstandings between people. Even within ourselves, we're misunderstanding ourselves a lot of the time because of this, because of the division and the confusion that comes from it. When your society has only ever taught you that the left brain is valuable and the things that it does and its template for seeing reality is all that matters and the only one that's real and the only one that can be trusted, and everything in the right brain template is just imagination and garbage. Or it's art. You could call it art. You're an artist. If you operate out of your right brain at all, you're the art type. Oh, he's an artist, excuse his weird behavior, he's just an artist. You don't have to take him seriously, just appreciate his music or his paintings or his poetry or the cool movies that this artist can make. But really those, in this society, for example, this Western civilized society, those are really, and there's a few more places, but those are basically the only areas where the right brain part of the human template is allowed to express itself, because left brain dominant patriarchal society can look at those things and say, well, it's just art, Amazing as it may be, it's not a threat because we don't ever have to take it seriously or believe that it's a real thing. Isn't that interesting? It has something to do with divorce rates, why it's so difficult for two people to work in harmony with each other. We have a division within us already as an individual that's divorced from itself. Okay, where one, what you could call the figure of the left brain, you could call that the male side, And we all have this. Everybody has the male and female side developed, and they're in touch with it to different degrees. But if we want to call it male and female, you could say our society is a male-dominant, left brain, you know, logic and math and measurements, and if I can't weigh it or see it or taste it or touch it, you better not even tell me about it, because you're a Fruit Loop, you know. And the right brain is in touch with all sorts of things that the left brain just says, you're crazy, keep that out of the picture, it's not accepted. Now, women were treated that way for a long time too. Being a little more right brain dominant in general, they were treated like, you know, like nothing they say really matters, because, oh, it's just a woman and you know how they are. Now, I highly disagree, but we are in a left brain, male dominated, patriarchal society right now. Now, ideally, a true balance should be sought, and not this back and forth swing where, oh, now it's going to be revenge of the right brain at some point, and we're all going to go off and get lost in that for a long time until that collapses, and then the left brain swing comes back. This thing's happened on this planet already. And you can believe that or not, it doesn't matter. But clearly we're in the left brain dominant phase right now, and have been for quite a while. And for those of you that believe that humans are at a point of awakening or evolution or ascension or any of these words that are being thrown around, clearly part of that ideally would be to unlock the connection between the two hemispheres of the brain. And it's not just the brain. For those of you who have a little more of esoteric awareness things, you realize the mind itself is something that is far outside just the brain. Your mind is a much bigger, potentially, you know, vast and amazing thing. It's like an energy field. The human brain is just the physical conduit that your actual mind is trying to work through. And it's a pretty limited filter. You know, that's why we're struggling so much down here with confusion and lack of awareness. Because this mechanical thing, the actual brain tissue thing and its wiring, amazing as it is, and as much as it's, if you work with it, it does upgrade and evolve and continue to expand upon itself. Excuse me. It's super limited compared to your actual mind. So let's just talk now in the figurative sense of the mind. There's still a right and a left. There's still a division there. There doesn't have to be, and, you know, ideally there won't always be. Because if we can figure out how to truly marry those two things and create a real union there, this whole DNA unlocking, activation of higher human potential, you know, that once in a while you get a glimpse of, you know, your right brain's trying to tell you what's possible and your left brain's saying, no, I don't believe that, that's silly. And they're arguing with each other because they're still divorced. So you have a divorce living in your own mind, fighting with each other in your own house, just to begin with. Not to mention all the chakras and other energy centers, but let's not convolute and confuse the issue too much. It's enough to just focus on this one obvious division. So let's take the modern spiritual community, if that's what it's calling itself, which is ridiculous because everything's spiritual, but I understand. Coming from a patriarchal left brain dominant society, if you're doing anything right brain at all, you have to be categorized as something. So either you're going to be called artsy-fartsy or airy-fairy, or maybe if you're lucky you might just be called a spiritual type of person, because that sounds nice. Even though it's not an accurate portrayal. Everything's spiritual. Even the left brain, even doing basic math is a spiritual thing. You couldn't do that if you weren't a spirit with consciousness. But anyway, so you got a lot of people making an effort to connect to their right brain right now. And this is where a lot of behavior that left brain dominant society is very judgmental of is coming from. Because the left brain's saying, well, you don't have any proof of that, so you're an idiot, you know. If you can't prove it to me, and, you know, what practical value does it have? And I understand that. To me, ideally, this connection has to be made. Because when we're wildly fluctuating between left brain and right brain, we're in conflict with ourselves, and we're always going to be in conflict with each other, right? You know, just like sexism and all the weird other ways this division is playing itself out. People that are more naturally right brain dominant get treated like crap by people that are left brain dominant. And in some cases it's vice versa, you know. So part of making this connection, guys, it's not going to just be some magical thing that evolves overnight. Now, I do believe that we will make this connection. This is the way the human mind is evolving itself. This is the way it's unfolding. And a lot of what we really have to do is just get out of the way and let it happen. But that's the right brain perspective, see? The right brain understands that it's all about being and allowing, and that works. And the left brain understands that to get shit done, you have to make a plan and do it and make it happen. And neither one of them is right or wrong. So I can agree with either perspective, but they're both incomplete. And when one says the other's wrong, again, that's just another classic example of this polarity and this division. Both methods work. So if you're in the mood to relax and allow things, that's awesome. You'll find some of your best insights, some of your best brilliant moments, some of your best natural healing that'll just occur within you can occur from that, from allowing it. Because the right brain is untamed, you know, it's creative, it's creativity. You never know what's going to come from there. And nothing's going to come from there if you're so left brain dominant that you judge it immediately. That's crazy, that's wrong, that's whatever. Okay, but you're not even allowing the yin and the yang, you're not allowing one side of it to even develop, okay, by being oppressive like that. That being said, if you're so ungrounded and airy-fairy that you think that, you know, just imagining a special light to protect you is going to stop bullets, I hate to tell you, but I haven't seen that work for anybody yet, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like the people that are swinging so far into the right brain, they're getting so abstract and so ungrounded, they're forgetting they even have a physical incarnation. And I think that's a form of escapism. I've experienced this myself. I swing wildly and fluctuate. I have a lot of right brain and a lot of left brain, and I'm trying to figure out how to put them together, because if I can figure out that in me, I'll be much more effective at conveying that somehow to others so they can do it too. And I'm not saying I'm leading the herd here. I'm sure some people have already done a much better job of putting those two things together. And I'm thankful for their energy existing in this world. We all need that to draw from. There is a collective unconscious energy field of everything that everybody knows currently on the planet that's sort of floating around. Like a certain radio station you can tune into, okay? That's where some of these synchronicities or ideas that people all get at the same time, you guys are tuning into a similar frequency of something that someone else already knows. Even if you didn't read it out of a book or hear them say it, it's there. It's in that energy field. But this is right brain talk, right? The left brain says, well, why can't you just write it down and put it in a book so we can all understand it? And I agree. They're both right. Ideally, we need to be developing both these things. And this side of the world, at least, and most of the world, from what I can tell right now, very left brain dominant, okay? And that's good and all, but clearly we're out of balance and we're warped. It's like if you walked on one leg every day and you didn't use the other one. You know, you're going to get so weird looking the way you walk, you know, on that one leg all the time. Your other leg's going to shrivel, you know, and then if you had to jump to save your life, you wouldn't be able to because you're so out of balance. That's kind of a weird, you know, picture, I guess, but it's kind of the same thing. We're crippled inside right now, guys. We've got this shriveled, afflicted, imprisoned side of us with all this great potential that only gets judged if anybody tries to bring it out. Because it's been repressed for so long now that those of us that are brave enough to try to bring some of the magical, amazing, mystical things that can come from the right brain, again, figuratively, we're talking about a side of the mind here more than just the physical brain. But I'm just calling it that because those are pretty common terms these days. right brain, left brain, okay? That's good enough. It's just something to call it. That part of us has been locked away in the dark and not fed and not tended to and not loved and appreciated for so long that it's like this shriveled, crippled, messed up, confused thing. Those of us that are doing our best to bring it out, we're being very brave. We're if that's you and you have some grasp on what I'm talking about right now, and the world's judging you because you seem like you're just batshit crazy, because it's not the kind of things that they can measure with a microscope or read in a book per se, and therefore, you know, it's automatically invalidated and you're just an idiot. I just want you to know I appreciate you for being brave. I know how difficult it is to rediscover dormant things within the human mind that nobody's been willing to use or allowed to use for a long time. And even in this time of, you know, accelerated growth, you could say, in consciousness of humanity, it's still a very, very primitive planet. It's a very restricted subject, you know. It's not easy. So all I can say is continue being brave, love yourself, accept yourself, know that you're doing something great, know that it's needed, even if nobody around you understands you. Look back in history and remember that the people that now are celebrated as like the brilliant people that were ahead of their time, or amazing artists that changed the world and inspired all of us to a higher level of whatever, they weren't understood. They were treated like crap, and most of them felt horrible about themselves, and they had a terribly difficult life. And I'm not saying that's what you're doomed to have. I'm saying just for perspective. Remember, if you're trying to lead humanity into a new area of what's possible for us, you're going to make what others consider mistakes, maybe even yourself. But you know, the right brain doesn't care about stuff like that. If you really open up to it, you realize it's an artist. An artist doesn't make mistakes, okay? An artist may create a work of art that others criticize because they don't get it, but ultimately it's what it means to you as the artist that matters. So you're being a leader by even showing humanity that they can have permission to explore parts of their own mind that are not going to get you necessarily immediately acceptance and appreciation from the current template that our society's working with, okay? You know, along with that, females, of course, have been getting the short end of the stick in general. In this part of the world, I mean, there's been a lot of improvements in that area. Unfortunately, in some parts of the world, still really bad, you know, to be female. You're just treated like you're less of a person, and you don't get any respect. In some places you don't even get any love or appreciation or anything. You're just used, you know. It's very, very, very sad to see that, the way this imbalance, this foolish, this oppressive, left-brain dominant, patriarchal mindset that the world's been in so long causes so much damage everywhere. It plays out in a lot of different forms, but it hurts all of us everywhere. It's just really sad to see how bad it hurts some people in particular. Mostly it's holding us all back. If we as a species are going to unlock a higher level of what we are, it's going to take that courage. It's going to take that courage to explore the creative side of yourself that's been completely suppressed, completely demonized, completely polarized and locked away and abused and hated, basically, for a long time. So those of you that can feel what I'm saying, you know you're embodying a lot of that challenge right now. And it can be frightening, it can be painful, it can be all kinds of things because you are carrying a larger degree of the weight of the world right now, of what's needed. So, you know, hopefully this message is at least, hopefully you can at least feel the love behind it. And the love's for everybody, man. It doesn't matter what part of your mind you're caught in or not, or whatever. I mean, everybody's doing, this is the truth. As much as I criticize people sometimes for things they're doing, including myself, The actual truth is everyone is doing the very best they can from their current template of perspective. Knowing that, there's never any reason to actually judge anybody. Now, I understand saying I disagree with that, and if it crosses my path, I'll even put a stop to certain things, because I can't tolerate that. I don't believe it's in everybody's best interest to even be tolerated. But that being said, there's really no reason to ever be judging anybody, including yourself. Even if you make what you consider a mistake, or they make lots of what you consider to be a mistake. Voice your opinion. If you're angry, express it. If you're sad, express it. I mean, I would encourage you to. Yeah, I realize, again, even emotions, that's a whole nother subject. Those have pretty much not been appreciated or allowed very much in society, because left brain, logical, patriarchal society doesn't know what to do with emotions. It fears them. The emotional intelligence on this planet is drastically suppressed, okay? So a lot of this chaos going on within yourself and others, now whether you just project it all out there and you think it's the world, everybody else is crazy and not me, or you're looking inside going, oh my God, I'm crazy and everybody else too, or whatever it is. Nobody's really crazy. It's a growth process, okay? We're exploring parts of ourselves that we've shoved into a cell and locked away for a long time, and now it's time to grow up. And it's a little bit scary, because the left brain logical world and the paradigms that were built there, they all have to fall apart for this process to grow. And the ego part of you is scared shitless of change. It automatically associates change with suffering and death. Even though the deeper part of you realizes you want to grow and you want change, the ego part of you will fight it. And you'll project that experience onto others. You'll experience resistance through them and yourself, because your ego's scared all the time. Oh, I don't know about this change. This might be the wrong step. This might lead to suffering and death. And guys, you need an ego to live here. You need to have some caution. Caution's one thing. Fear is useless. It just makes you blind to whatever you're dealing with. That being said, don't judge yourself for feeling fear, and don't fear the fear, okay? It's okay to have some fear. Just observe it. While you're feeling fear, don't make your decisions of what you're going to do or be based on that. Just observe the fear and relax until it passes and you get another wave of inspiration and clarity on where you need to evolve to next, whether anybody else understands it or not. You're helping them too. By giving yourself permission to explore things within you that others might even tell you not to, it doesn't matter that they tell you that. Find a way to explore it without getting yourself in too big a trouble. And just by doing that, because everyone's connected in some kind of an information field to some degree that's floating around here in the atmosphere, as you figure some of this out and connect some of that wiring and expand upon it, others are going to find it easier to do that as well. Even without you ever even saying a word to them. We like to try to communicate with words. I know I do. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it just makes things worse, because it's very difficult to explain things in words, especially right brain things, okay? But we're all doing our best. Everybody's doing their best. Try not to be so afraid of each other. If somebody's, hating you and, if they really are a danger to you, avoid that situation, okay? You don't have to tell anybody anything. You don't have to try to make somebody else understand anything, okay? You'll know when the door's open to something. If somebody's open to any kind of bigger concept or more creative concept of reality, you'll feel that. Share it with them. You don't have to make anybody else believe anything, including yourself. Relax. It's not a race. There's no, there's all these teachings that have always been in the religious circles and now the New Age religious circles. Urgent message. You need to figure this out before the date of doom or whatever. And it's always happening, guys. Haven't you noticed yet that that's always crap? Somebody's just got you running around like a little herd of chickens in there, like a farm dog's just chasing the chickens around. They're all, oh, go, we gotta run over here now. Oh, we better run over here now. Urgent, urgent. It's not urgent. Okay, it's not. Time's an illusion anyway. Just honor your process, whatever that is. Okay? And remember, you don't have to convince anybody of anything. You don't have to save the world. The world doesn't need saving. Everything that's going to need to happen will, okay? That being said, if you feel a passion and you'd like to grow more faster, that's great. That's your process. You're on fire for it. That's good. Some people have more of a fire under their ass when it comes to exploring new things than others. That's great. Somebody has to do it. You know, when there's a herd of, you know, mountain goats somewhere wandering around and they've kind of run out of grass in one area, somebody has to be the big brave, you know, the big brave ram that goes a few hills further than anybody's ever seen before to find the new pasture. And he might not even find it there. You know, it might be a mistake, and people might criticize you because, oh, well, that didn't work out. Well, whatever. Somebody's got to be exploring, okay? The herd can't sit in one place forever until they all dry, the resources dry out and you die. Life is a moving thing. So love yourself and honor yourself wherever you're at with this. And remember, words, it's a left brain activity. It's only going to do so much. It's the energy behind it that matters more, okay? And the intention behind it that matters more. If your intentions are truly good, if your intentions are that what you're doing or being are meant to help you expand your awareness, consciousness, and therefore effectiveness as a human, whatever that is, it'll help others that way too. You know what I mean? I hope so. So, just the word template, just thinking about the word template, and that all that just sort of, you know, clicks, I guess, for me. But it's not the word. It's not the word that matters. It's the basic idea. The idea is, you know, the world's full of fear. And anytime you feel fear, remember the fear makes you blind. Don't make your decision based on the fear. The decision won't work out well if you make that decision out of the fear. Wait till you see past the fear, what's really there, okay? Be patient with yourself. It might take a minute, it might take a day, it might take a year, it might take a lifetime. It doesn't matter. Be patient with yourself. Trust that there's something deep inside you that knows what it's doing, okay? The world will have you looking outside you and running around here, and then these guys are going to scare you into this, and then those guys are going to scare you into that, and then these guys are going to tell you what you want to hear, so you follow them along, but they're not really giving you anything. I'm not saying everything you hear is crap, but look inside, you know? Look inside and see what truth is in you. And remember, if a message from someone else rings true with you, they didn't give you that message. You gave it to yourself, okay? They're just a reflection of something you're already carrying. Just use relationships, whether it's with another person or an organization or even a rock that you stub your toe on. Everything's a relationship, okay? Of some kind. Use those to find reflections of what's going on inside of you. And keep exploring, keep exploring, keep exploring. The keys are all in there, okay? The kingdom of heaven is within you, okay? It's probably out there too in, in various forms and fashions, but it's definitely within you. There's a lot of people that are sad that they think they don't live in a time when they can explore space. And they don't realize they can. You can explore outer space better than any man-made tin can. I wouldn't want to go out there in one of those, but I can leave my body behind and do it. And that's learning more about things that exist within you. And again, that's some really right brain talk, isn't it? But we have to take risks, humanity. If you don't stretch and reach for something that you don't know if you can reach it, you're never going to get to where you do reach it. You know what I mean? We need to be reaching inward, especially. All right? I hope you can actually feel what I'm saying, because, again, words, they're such a limited form of communication. If the words or the feeling behind them, more importantly, blesses you in any way, just go with that. Don't let your left brain overanalyze it until it finally murders it, like it does everything else. I'm not saying that male energy, and I'm not saying that the left brain and the logical side of the brain are a bad thing. But when they run everything, all you get is a world where systematically one group of patriarchal society is always going around overcoming other ones, and then they're getting them back, and these guys are fighting, and those guys are fighting, and everybody's being oppressed. Yeah, you know, fighting and all that, and building your logical skills and figuring out how to conquer things, it's all valuable. But obviously, by itself, that's not very fulfilling, is it? You know, there's a lot more to what we are. And if you're too ungrounded the other direction and you don't know how to deal with real life physical stuff, you just get taken advantage of by those other guys. We are going to have to marry these things, okay? We're going to have to bring them together. Then you'll have some kind of a holistic mind, okay? And then the abilities that, you know, people fantasize about and get little glimpses of and have little mystical experiences with here and there, those will become commonplace things you can control. But you have to create that marriage, okay? It's the best word I can think of it for now. Alright. I trust that this is going to bless some of you in some way. It does me. Anything that helps me, I know it's meant to help somebody else as well. And if it's not for you, if anything's not for you, please stop believing that you're supposed to have to wrestle with things that don't make sense to you. You're not. Drop it. If it connects with you, that's for a reason. Your soul is giving you something, an awareness there. And if it doesn't click, it doesn't matter. Just drop it. Everywhere you look and everything you experience and everything is the great divine mind communicating with you, whether you know it or not. Everything. Honor your personal experience and you'll learn that language, okay? It's a language only you can truly translate for you. It's communicating with you all the time in every way. Inside you, outside you, everything, if you're open to it. It is. The truth is there all the time. And the more things you judge and the more things you fear, the more of it you miss. The more of it you block out, okay? These are truths that your right brain, you know, can accept. The left brain's pretty damn skeptical. But again, we have to marry these things to make a family. A family mind, an expansive whole mind that's happy and healthy instead of isolated and angry and, you know, imbalanced and all these other things. One's the victim and one's the abuser, and this is living within us, this archetype. We've wrestled with this a lot of different ways, humanity, and I honestly believe a lot of us are ready to just stop wrestling with that and integrate it, put it together, you know, forgive. See, even the two sides of your own mind have to forgive each other and learn to trust each other. Without that forgiveness, without unconditional love, we won't even have the ability for the two sides of our mind to ever trust each other, let alone all our other energy fields and dimensions and stuff. So before we get ahead of ourselves with all sorts of, you know, airy-fairy complicated concepts and sacred geometry and complex math equations and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah, you know, basically a simple division that exists still within the energy fields of our mind, if we can just start there, that's going to unlock a lot of it. Alright? Alright. That's for anybody and everybody. And it's for me too, you know. Alright, I love you. And I trust you. I trust your process, whatever it is. Okay? And I hope you, I believe you can too. Alright? Alright.